Hello SGBers and welcome to another tutorial in the Smile Game Builder tutorial series. I was planning a simple calendar system for this tutorial, but it didn't quite work out the way it should have. Murphy's Law struck again, it seems. It worked, then it didn't. And then I discovered why. I'll go into that a bit later. The idea was to display the time and date along with the day of the week, specifically in a message box, and all of this was based on the system's local time and date, incrementing time and adapting the days accordingly. So, rather than not having something or a completely different tutorial, I decided to go ahead with this one. And meantime, I'll have to rethink this entirely, so it'll be revisited at a later time. So it's not actually a full calendar system because it uses the now date function in the advanced variables, so it's still related to the calendar. By the way, if I sound a bit flat today, it's because I was playing Skyrim 2nd Edition all night and most of the morning, but hey, I'm on holiday, so I'm entitled to. So the first thing we need to do is to create an Autorun event somewhere on the map to set up all of the variables. Anywhere will do, but I usually like putting it slightly off the map or somewhere inaccessible to the player. Just remember to uncheck collide with player if it's on the same map where the player can walk on. So we'll rename the event to set up fares and rename the sheet to, I don't know, set up trigger automatically one time. And for the variables for the time and date, which I showcased in the previous tutorials, I've already set up some variables for the hour, minute, second, year, month, day, and day of the week. But we can copy and paste them. Like so. Next one, seconds, minutes I mean. And then the next one would be seconds. Year. Month. Day. And finally, day of the week. Like so. Once you've set them up accordingly, you're ready for the next step. Note that you'll need to use the advanced variable box option for this, not to be confused with the variable box. Okay, with that said, we need to add a local switch condition, like so, and set it to off, and then right at the very end, we need to set the local condition turn to on, add another event sheet with the local switch set to on, keep it blank, and then we'll rename it done. Otherwise, if you don't have this switch on, every time you visit the map, if you're reusing it, this will activate each and every time you revisit and reset any changes you made. So for the next part, I added another template map, slightly tweaked, called House 2. Under Objects, Indoor, there should be a clock, which apparently I already put. Okay, for the purposes of this, we'll delete it and start again. like so. You can double click or right click and edit. And then we'll go into the advanced events. Rename the event to clock. What else would you rename it? And then rename the sheet to display time. Edit the message dialog, and we can put in the following text. I'll just copy and paste it from my notes, save time. So we can do it this way. The time is variable 3, 4 and 5, which is hour, minute and seconds obviously. When you interact with the clock, it'll display the time. This will be your local clock's time. A quick note about the time here, it doesn't have any trailing zeros, so 1:08 AM or 01:08 in 24-hour notation, which it seems to use, won't show up as 01:08. It'll actually be 1:08, which looks so weird and just isn't right. We can also put the date here, like so. Again, I'll copy and paste it. And this will display the day, month and year. Some people put month then day, but this is just my preference and what I use. Okay, so let's play test this real quick. I put the start to save time, and then we can transport directly. So in we go to the clock, and this is currently correct. It is the 20th of November and the time is, well, it's 1:49 PM now. Obviously the clock won't update because it's just a static message box. Okay, SGB displays days of the week as numbers, starting at 0 for Sunday and ending at 6 for Saturday. There is no feature for storing words into variables, so we have to do it a little differently, with quite a bit of repetition involved. It's not the most ideal setup, but it is a fully functional workaround. And to be honest, it's not one I particularly favor, but one I would use myself. So we'll need 7 conditional branches, 1 for each day of the week. And we can do it this way. Day 9, starting at 0 for Sunday. And what we'll do is we will delete this, and then we'll add another message box under yes with the following. Today's date is day blah blah blah. Then we copy and paste this 6 more times. Number 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and then we have to go all the way back to change the days. Okay, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3, okay, yeah, this is 4, so that would be Thursday, this is 5, told you I was tired, Friday, and then we paste one more time, and then this would be Saturday. And we're done. Just to check. 0 Sunday, 1 Monday, 2 Tuesday, 3 Wednesday, 4 Thursday, 5 Friday, and 6 Saturday, which is correct. So, how do we advance the time and date? It's relatively easy, but it took me ages to figure out because of an anomaly I discovered during the process, something I'd completely overlooked before because it wasn't necessary to do this. Now realistically, when you rest at an inn or go to sleep, a certain amount of time elapses. To fully recharge, replenish your energy and have a fitful rest, we usually need 6 to 8 full hours of sleep, right? So if we create an in event to reflect this, we can advance the time elapsed there. Actually, we'll create 2, one for the counter and one for the inkeep. So we'll put the inkeep there and we'll put the counter there. And this is where the anomaly is. As I was advancing in the hours on the counter, it wasn't working the way it should, and then something I didn't catch before resolved itself. It's always a journey of discovery, eh? If you place an in event if you place an in counter event on the counter, then place the NPC event away from the counter, like so, the counter event will take priority. If, however, the NPC is directly behind the counter, in line with the counter event, the NPC event will take priority. Therefore, you don't actually need a counter event at all. So, in fact, at this point, we might as well just delete it. You can speak to the NPC directly if they're immediately behind a counter, and if they're going to stay there. Obviously, if you're planning the NPC to sort of like bustle around behind the counter, then you'll need the counter event. It'll basically be a duplicated event. So now, in the advanced event, for convenience and for the purposes of playtesting, we'll set the fee to 0 so we can stay there for free. We can add a number of hours representing the number of hours sleep to our variable 3. So hours, we'll start with the 3. Oh, what have I done? That's not correct. Variable box, and then add 3. We can use either variable box or the advanced variables using the fixed value and addition. Either way, it'll do the same thing. So now if we add a dialog box, like so, you can use that one or just a message. Okay, we can do it this way. We put the variable time. That will display the increased amount of time. So let's play test it again real quick. So if we go back in, $13.58 Sunday, which is correct. And the time is 4:58. Apparently. Did we add 3 hours to it? Oh yeah, of course. God, I am tired. Oh. 1 plus 3 equals 4. Very good. Now here's where another anomaly occurs. If we add 24 hours to the variable 3 for our purposes, which of course is a full day, the time does increase, but not in the way you'd think. So once again, let's play test it. And the time is 1400 hours. See what I mean about the trailing zero? And it's Sunday. So as you can see, the time is 3800 hours. And the date is still Sunday. So, if we go to the in and rest an entire day, the displayed time does add 24 hours to the time, but of course it isn't a valid time. Revisiting the clock, as we've seen, does show the corrected time, but the day is still today. It doesn't advance properly according to the time calendar. So of course this causes an anomaly. I think when Smileboom implemented the scope for the time and date variables, they didn't quite anticipate it'd be used in this way. It's simply a means to display the current time and today's date, and possibly to make some provision for certain things occurring on certain dates or certain times. Like say, for instance, if there was an anniversary of something like a major event or something that was relevant to the game developer, he could insert a code, like an event code, that when it activates, message on that particular day. Something like that anyway. It's just like with RPG Maker MV's date object, since it uses JavaScript, which allows you to get the local time and date, including hours, minutes, etc., which can then be displayed and coded around accordingly. Now, one thing to note is that the Autorun Sync is classified as a parallel event, but it isn't truly parallel. The one that I'm on about is this: automatically start, synchronize and run repeatedly. It is a parallel event, but it only seems to work on the specific maps it's placed and will run in the background on those maps. It doesn't seem to carry on across the maps, at least in the experiments that I did. Hence the reason that the calendar system doesn't work the way it should. In RPG Maker, and I hate to compare this to RPG Maker because this SGB is relatively young. But RPG Maker, I know, I practically grew up with it. In RPG Maker, parallel events, notably those in the common events, will run parallel to any other events regardless of which map you're on, which is very useful. So, in order for this to work, you'd need to copy and paste the intended parallel event on each of the maps for it to update properly, the way it should. That's not really convenient if you have a lot of maps, but it will work, and hence we can update the time, the day, etc., no matter which map you're on. Okay, to showcase this as an example, let's trigger an event after you've been playing for a certain amount of time, such as if you've been playing for 2 hours, remind the player to save the game and take a break. We can do this by adding another synchronous event. Like so. And we can create an advanced variable, this time based on playtime. Of course, we won't be waiting 2 hours for this, so we'll set variable 10, won't bother naming it, to playtime minute. And then we add a variable box check where we have variable 10 is equal to 1 minute. Then under the yes, there's another 1, 11 is seconds, and we set that to 0. And then under this second, display a message. I'll copy and paste it again. You've been playing for 1 minute. You can add additional branches under the no for different times as well, similar to this one, not forgetting to set variable 11, which in our case is playtime seconds, to 0. And the reason we put an additional condition for seconds is because the message will continually loop when variable 10, our minutes, is true until it changes. We should put that under the second yes. So when we playtest, we'll open up the debug window, and as you can see, variable 11, representing the seconds, increases. And then after a minute has elapsed, there should be a little dialog box that states, take a break. You've been playing for too long, which is like me. I've playing Skyrim for too long. Okay, I think the reason why that previous dialog box came up is because of another event that I'd forgotten to delete before making this tutorial. Anyway, you've been playing for 1 minute. So now, as you can see, it's still increasing the timer. So if at this point we go to another map, it doesn't update. And then if we go back to the map, you see what I mean? Minute is still 1, just about, so it'll repeat the message over and over and over again because it's greater than the amount. And that's the disadvantage with this method. The value stored in 10 will be stored, so then when you save the game or go to another map and then re-enter the map and then reload it, the event will auto-trigger based on the current playtime. So, as you saw, the example is set to 1, you'll continuously get this. But I think that, as I said, was relevant to the previous one, which was I'm not sure what I did with that one. But this second method does actually work. If you set the variable to a minute or whatever, you will get that message box. Then you save. When you reset the game and reload, the playtime minute is still active. So almost immediately upon reload, the message box will appear. I basically wanted to demonstrate this as an add-on to the time and date functionality. And that concludes this tutorial. Like and subscribe for more videos, or visit my Twitter, Facebook and the blog for more stuff. Quite often I'll put unique content on each of them, usually RPG Maker related, but sometimes other game dev stuff, and recently Skyrim 2nd edition stuff as well. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Until the next time.